Paul Bayrock, one of the greatest economic historians of the world, was mandated by the General Agreement on Trade and Tariff, which is the predecessor to the WTO, to write the economic history of the world between 1750 and 1900 for 150 years, largely the colonial period. He came out with a stunning finding that in the year 1750, if you tabulated the order in which you say which are the greatest performing nations in economics and come down, he said China was the country which was leading the world with 34% of world GDP, India with 24.5%, America and England put together 2%. This shook the world. And the Western world was ruling the world. They couldn't accept it and would not. Why would they? How could they concede that in the 16th and 17th century, China and India had better standard of living? As German historians began writing, let us accept it. Yes, we did not have that standard of living which India and China had in the 15th and 16th and 17th centuries. Let us admit it. Historian like Ferdinand Braudel began writing in a very assertive way. How can the Western world, which is dictating the course of event of the entire humanity, accept this fact? They could not. So they instituted a Development Studies Institute under Angus Madison, the OECD countries, which are the richest countries in the world. They said, come on, you write 2,000 years of economic history of the world, and gave this mandate to Angus Madison, gave him all the assistance that was needed. Angus Madison did research for 18 years, from 1983 to 2001, and came out with his magnum opus called World Economic History, a Millennial Perspective, in which he said in the first year of the Common Era, India was leading the world with 35% of world GDP. 10th century, India was leading. 1100, India was leading. 1200, India was leading. 1300, India was leading. 1400, India was leading. 1500, India and China equal. 1600, China overtakes India. 1700, India overtakes China. In 1900, both were overtaken by others. When he set it out, it is regarded, all this is available on the net, nothing is a secret, because OECD has published this report free on the net. And Angus Madison began publishing all this till June 2010 when he passed away, and I was giving me a lecture in IIT in December 2010. Of course, that IIT lecture is available on the net. And after I completed my speech, the IIT students, the scholars, the researchers surrounded me and said, we don't know why this institution is there for us not to know anything about India. And so, sir, what should we do? Then they asked me to run a course for them, which I do every year. One semester of course I take on Indian economic, business, financial models, management models. You know, the ignorance of India, Indian intellectuals, the educated people, the doctors, the historians, the economists, is astounding.